Thank you so much, Katie. And oh my gosh, so many people here on a Monday in August. It is just amazing. And that is why, in fact, the disinformation is happening. It's happening. We are dealing with this because we are able to get 500 people out on a Monday in August before Labor Day, and they are scared. They are scared of your power. Okay, let's go to the first slide, which is going to tell you exactly why disinformation happens. It happens because y'all are powerful. Some outside groups and politicians need to frighten and confuse you in order to retain power. They can't do it on an even playing field. They cannot do it with good faith arguments. The only way they win is by lying. And that is what is happening right now. So keep that in mind. The reason why you have to fight is because you are so powerful. You've probably heard me say this before, but the number one rule of disinformation is don't repeat the disinformation. Now, why not? Two things. One, what the human brain does is link the two things you're talking about. So even if you say this is not that, a few weeks later, you're going to remember there's something about this and that. So we don't want to do that. The second reason is that you play right into their strategy. You spend time debating whether or not the disinformation is true instead of talking about the real issue, which is, of course, reproductive freedom for Ohio women. So they want you to spend your time talking about their ballot language and what exactly is wrong with it, because then you are not talking about all of the really important points that we just heard get made, talking about the decision to start a family, to grow a family, and how important it is that that's yours, talking about miscarriage management, IVF, all of those personal stories that make this issue such a resonant one. That's what we want to talk about. We do not want to get caught up in, is this true? Is this not true? We want to talk about the stories that we want to talk about, because that you win. We can go to the next slide. Obviously, it's important to call it out. There is a lot of bad info out there. We want to set the record straight. For the record, you can say this about any of the disinformation that is currently floating around, ballot language related or not. Let people know so that they don't have to sit in this cognitive dissonance place where they're hearing one thing and another thing, that some people really want to scare them because they can't win if voters know what they're voting on. That's how popular it is. There's bad intel out there, but we can get the good stuff. Specifically, the disinformation that is in the Ohio ballot language. First, the ballot language uses biased and inflammatory language. This is language that is designed to turn off the average voter. It is designed to make somebody stop and think and be a little confused and a little shocked. So what we need to do is make sure that people know that there is biased and inflammatory language on the ballot language. Here's the real amendment. We can go to the next slide. The second piece that's really awful is it is genuinely confusing. And I frankly, I don't usually say this about myself, but I have a master's in English. It took me a full 7 minutes to read these various bullet points to be like, wait, what is this saying? And that is literally the point. They choose unclear language so that they confuse voters. Let people know that language is going to look confusing, and that is their strategy. We can go to the next slide for the third one, which is pretty telling. They have left out any mention of IVF, miscarriage management, and birth control. The only procedure involved in the reproductive freedom suite is abortion. That's the only one mentioned. So if they're leaving out IVF, miscarriage management, and birth control, it stands to reason that those are probably fairly persuasive things. So letting folks know that those are in the constitutional amendment itself, and if we all vote yes, that is going in the Ohio Constitution, that is very, very important. We can go to the next slide. I know that we've said this a couple of times already, but it is so important that we made it its own slide, and we're going to repeat the message again. Regardless of what language extremists put on the ballot, they cannot change the amendment. We are still voting yes in November. Regardless, I hear an audio is breaking up, so I'm going to say it one more time. Regardless of what language extremists put on the ballot, they cannot change the amendment. We are still voting yes in November. This will remain true throughout the next few weeks, regardless of what happens with the lawsuit. So just keep in mind, they can't change the amendment. We're going to vote yes. So thank you all for doing what you're doing, and talking to all of your friends and family, because frankly, you guys are the best messengers to combat disinfo. People trust you. They trust people that they know, and that is why they need to hear from you as soon as possible. So thank you all so much for tuning out.